Hello, good morning everybody. Welcome to our YouTube channel. I hope I am audible. If I am audible, just let me know. हाँ जी, बस जल्दी से बता दीजिए whether I am audible. हाँ जी guys, audible and visible. Okay, so I wish you happy Lodi to everybody, right? So let's begin our class for today. The most important news that we have in today's newspaper is Supreme Court refuses to stay law on selection of CEC and EC. Now let's try to discuss this whole issue. It is very interesting. Now the whole issue is related to the appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner. Now the whole matter is related to the appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner. Now when we see our constitution that there has been a mandate that was given to the parliament that they need to bring in a certain process where they try to set up a committee that will decide the appointment of chief election commissioners and election commissioners, but there wasn't such any law that was made by the parliament. So as a result, Supreme Court last year in the month of March basically made a appointment panel, or you can say a selection committee comprising of Prime Minister, CGI and what we can call it as leader of opposition. Now this was the matter that Supreme Court had intervened in this method, and they had said that it would be a 3-member committee that would recommend that who is going to be the Chief Election Commissioner and the Election Commissioner. So it included Prime Minister, it included Chief Justice of India, and it included Leader of Opposition. One thing you have to understand that here we are trying to appoint an executive, and the Supreme Court has said that there would be a member of judiciary, that is the Chief Justice of India, that will play an important role in the appointment of the executive, that is Chief Election Commissioners and the Election Commissioners. But government overruled this decision of Supreme Court, and they brought in a new act where they said the appointment panel that would be there in order to appoint chief election commissioners and election commissioners would comprise of Prime Minister, leader of opposition, along with one important member, that is Union Cabinet Minister. यूनियन कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर. सो व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट डिड, गवर्नमेंट ने सीजीआई को रिप्लेस कर दिया विद द यूनियन कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर. नाउ दिस डिसीजन हैज बीन नाउ चैलेंज्ड एंड देयर हैव बीन अ लॉट ऑफ पिटिशंस दैट आर पेंडिंग इन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट related to the decision of the government that they have included प्राइम मिनिस्टर, दैट इज अकॉर्डिंग टू द, लेट्स से जब हम बात करते हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गाइडलाइंस के अकॉर्डिंग. नाउ दे हैव इंक्लूडेड लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन, दैट वाज आल्सो अ पार्ट ऑफ द सिलेक्शन कमिटी प्रपोज्ड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. बट द थर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग दैट हैज बीन रिप्लेस्ड ओवर हियर इज Chief Justice of India has been replaced by Union Cabinet Minister. Now this is a very much a serious concern that is being raised by the opposition, that there could be certain scenarios, as you can see over here, that the majority, if we talk about it in this appointment panel, is of the ruling party. Now ruling party can have a certain say, or we can say there would be the major say of the ruling party in the appointment of chief election commissioners and election commissioners, where the opposition parties and the other petitioners are saying that there could be a certain bias towards the ruling party during the time of elections if the election commissioners appointment panel consists of these members. So as a result they are of the opinion that why is there a need of leader of opposition. तो leader of opposition की जरूरत भी क्यों है? If we have these two members, let's say part of the ruling party, and the decision panel would be taken by a decision of majority, then there is what the use of leader of opposition. So this is a whole matter that has all now that has been, let's say, reviewed in the Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court in this context उन्होंने क्या कहा है, उन्होंने ये जो गवर्नमेंट का डिसीजन है उसके ऊपर स्टे ऑर्डर लगाने से मना कर दिया है. So government has refused that they will not be putting any stay order on this act that has been passed by the parliament consisting of appointment of chief election commissioners and election commissioners. Let's try to see. So over here, as you can see over here, points of contention. Section 7 of the Election Commissioners Appointment Conditions of Service and Term of Office Act 2023. I told you that government has appointed a certain new act, right, in 2023, where it mandates the selection committee to consist of Prime Minister, a Union Cabinet Minister and a leader of the opposition or leader of the largest opposition party in the Lok Sabha. So this is a particular section that was bone of contention, but Supreme Court has clearly said that they have refused to stay law on the selection of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner. The bench issues notices to the centre, list cases for hearing in April. Petitioner says the act diluted earlier judgment of top court in the matter by replacing Chief Justice of India with Union Cabinet Minister in selection committee. Petition argues that excluding CGI had nullified the committee and the law is against the concept of separation of powers. So this is a particular debate that has now erupted with this new amendment act that has been proposed by the government of India. तो आपको ये चीज पता होनी चाहिए. दूसरी चीज यहाँ पे एक इंटरेस्टिंग है कि अगर गवर्नमेंट ने कोई डिसीजन लिया है और उसको जुडिशरी ओवरटर्न करती है तो समहाउ दिस कैन बी थॉट ऑफ एज कि जुडिशरी इंटरफेयर कर रही है एग्जीक्यूटिव के मैटर्स में, एंड वी हैव सर्टेन प्रिंसिपल्स वेयर वी गो बाय दैट देयर हैज टू बी सेपरेशन ऑफ जुडिशरी फ्रॉम एग्जीक्यूटिव. व्हेन जुडिशरी सेज कि उनकी अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए देयर शैल नॉट बी इंटरफेरेंस ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव, सिमिलरली इज द बोन ऑफ द कंटेंशन ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट दैट व्हेन वी आर अपॉइंटिंग एग्जीक्यूटिव देयर शैल नॉट बी एनी रोल ऑफ द जुडिशरी. अगर जुडिशरी का रोल आता है जैसा कि उन्होंने अपनी जजमेंट में दिया था तो it is a kind of judicial overreach rather than judicial activism. So this is a major problem that has now coming up this whole matter. एक point of view है कि ठीक है यहां पे जुडिशरी का रोल नहीं होना चाहिए एग्जीक्यूटिव के अपॉइंटमेंट में क्योंकि फिर सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर्स नहीं बनी रहेंगी. दूसरा जो एक इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है कि जो बेसिकली सिलेक्शन कमेटी बनी है दैट कैन let's say what we can say get certain favors from chief election commissioners and election commissioners during the time of elections because they would be the ones that would be appointing and having a major say in the appointment of chief election commissioner. हो सकता है मान लीजिए if there has to be certain screen time, there has to be scheduling of elections that can be taken place with the a lot of we can say in the bias we can say in the more favor of ruling party as well. So these are certain little bit of things that are being what we can say objected by the opposition parties कि यहाँ पे आप ज्यादा एक ruling party को कैसे favor कर सकते हो in the new legislation. I hope this point is clear to everybody. Very interesting, right? Okay. Now moving to the next part. Retail inflation rises to 5.7% in December, right? As you can see over here, retail inflation हमारी 5.7% के आसपास है, and now this is within the limit that has been set up by the government of India. Let us again revise this whole topic because it is little bit interesting as well. Now, when we talk about retail inflation, see, it is basically that is being measured right now. It is the consumer price index combined. So this is the first fact that we have to understand that it is the consumer price index combined. Second important thing is that we take the base year over to be 2012, right? दूसरी चीज, when we talk about consumer price index, it includes both goods and services. This is the third part that we have to understand, that when we talk about CPI, retail inflation, or you can say it as the headline inflation as well. So this is also very important, right? So these are certain points. Now one thing we have to understand is that when we talk about our monetary policy, now monetary policy is in total alignment and is basically there in order to target the inflation. That is the primary purpose of monetary policy, that they are basically targeting the inflation so that they can keep the inflation levels within a particular limit. Now what is the limit that has been decided? Now the limit that the government wants is being decided by the government itself with the, let's say, recommendations of RBI, and that limit has been 4 plus minus 2%. That is, it ranges between 2 to 6%. This is the limit that has been decided by the government of India from 2016. It was reviewed in 21 after 5 years, and now they have also again set the limit this to be around 4 plus minus 2%. So as a result, what we have got the inflation 5.7%, and it is within the limit that has been decided by the government of India. But one thing we have to understand is that when we talk about monetary policy basic function is to decide the repo rate. Now this is what we call it as the जो मेन पॉलिसी होती है मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी के अंदर जब आती है तो उसके अंदर जो मेन चीज देखने वाली होती है दैट इज द रेपो रेट. It is the rate at which RBI lends to commercial banks for a short term period. Now according to the repo rate, basically the percentage of repo rate generally we can say targets the inflation. If the government wants that they want to keep the inflation within a certain limit, they do not want to increase the money supply in the economy, right? So inflation is directly proportional to money supply, we can say for a moment. If we want to keep the money supply within a particular limit, we do not want inflation to increase, obviously आपको interest rates increase करने पड़ेंगे. So increasing the repo rate keep the inflation levels within the limit that has been decided by the government of India. If the government feels कि inflation बहुत ज़्यादा volatile है, आने वाले टाइम में प्राइसेस बढ़ सकते हैं एंड दे वांट टू कीप एंड टारगेट द इन्फ्लेशन विद इन द रेंज दैट दे हैव सेट अप फॉर देमसेल्व्स, देन वन थिंग यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इज रेपो रेट आपको ज्यादा ही देखने को मिलेगा, राइट? सो ये एक पॉइंट है जो आपको पता होना चाहिए. इट इज वेरी वेरी सिंपल एंड ऑल ऑफ दिस इज लिंक्ड टुगेदर. इफ यू आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस पर्टिकुलर नोशन and this connotation, I think most of your prelims questions related to economics will be a cakewalk because it will be very easier if you are able to understand this concept. हाँ जी, यहां तक सभी को क्लियर है? एक बार कंफर्मेशन दे दो. Okay, now India's longest sea bridge which provides a link to Navi Mumbai inaugurated by PM. So this new 6-lane Atal Bihari Vajpayee Sevri Nahava Sheva Atal Setu, right? You can also remember it by the name Atal Setu Bridge. We can say this is a trans-harbor link that has been created between Mumbai and Navi Mumbai that will reduce the time period from 2 hours to 20 minutes. Now this is a very important infrastructure measure that has been taken and it has been inaugurated, and it is a great achievement that shows the sign of India as an emerging developing nation, and it is a path, we can say these are the kind of infrastructure, these are kind of structures that basically can elevate the India to the level of a developed कंट्री स्टेटस, राइट? यही चीजें होती हैं जो इंडिया को डेवलप्ड कंट्री के स्टेटस पे धीरे धीरे लेके जा सकती हैं. एंड इफ इंडिया वांट्स टू बिकम अ डेवलप्ड कंट्री बाय 2047 वी रिक्वायर सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स ऑन दीज लाइंस टू बी इनॉग्रेटेड. एंड बिकॉज दीज आर डूइंग व्हाट, यहां पे लॉजिस्टिक्स टाइम देखो कितना कम हो चुका है. पहले 2 घंटे लगते थे मुंबई से नवी मुंबई तक पहुंचने के लिए. नाउ द टाइम हैज बीन रिड्यूस्ड बाय हाउ मच? इट हैज बीन रिड्यूस्ड बाय जस्ट 20 मिनट्स, राइट? सो इट विल बी अ सेविंग ऑफ 1 hour 40 minutes when you will be going through this new trans harbor sea link route that has been inaugurated by the Prime Minister, and it is India's longest sea bridge, right? So this becomes very important. It can be asked in the examination as well. Now this is point is important. इसकी टोटल लेंथ 21.8 किलोमीटर है एंड 16.5 किलोमीटर इज ओवर द अरेबियन सी. नाउ दिस इज अनदर पार्ट दैट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड, वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इसकी टोटल लेंथ कितनी है? 21.8 किलोमीटर एंड 16.5 किलोमीटर किसके ऊपर है? अरेबियन सी के ऊपर है. दूसरी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो हमें यहां पे पता होनी चाहिए दैट दिस हैज बीन प्रिपेयर्ड विद द हेल्प ऑफ जापानीज असिस्टेंस. Now this is one of the most important part. One of the thing you have to understand is India and Japan friendship, if we talk about, it is a very strategic partnership. We have free trade agreement with Japan since 2011. Recently, last year I suppose, Japanese Prime Minister came over in India, Kishida ji, right? And one thing you have to understand is in India there are a lot of infrastructure projects that are going on with the aid and the assistance along with financial and technical assistance coming from Japan, and this is how it translates into when all of experts and all of the assistance comes together, then we get such kind of infrastructure, such kind of buildings, such kind of structures. So Japan has been our very important partner that has helped us a lot over the years. When we talk about eastern dedicated freight corridors, western dedicated freight corridors, when we talk about bullet train as well, it will be all developed with the help of Japanese assistance, right? Yes, very good. Okay, now these were the most important news that we had in our today's newspaper. आज एडिटोरियल में इतना ज़्यादा खास नहीं है, बट ये 3 इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूज़ है जो आप लोगों को पता होनी चाहिए. ओके, मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. नाउ दीज आर ऑल द पॉलिटिकल न्यूज़ ज़्यादा आ रही हैं, राइट? These are all the political news. Now this is very interesting. Science Ministry team visits Hawaii to take stock of telescope project. Now there is a particular 30-meter telescope project that is very important, that is there in Hawaii, and that is in the Mauna Kea. That is an inactive volcano on the highland of Hawaii. Very important. So first of all, there are two things that we have to note from this particular aspect. That one is related to this 30-meter telescope project. First of all, second thing is a team was visiting Hawaii Island, and when we talk about Hawaii Island, वहाँ पे एक inactive volcano है Mauna Kea, वहाँ पे उन्होंने visit किया. Now this is very interesting. Let's try to understand. It is proposed, when we talk about 30-meter telescope project, it is a joint collaboration of USA, China, Japan, if I am saying it correctly, Canada and India. And Indian participation in this project was approved by the Union Cabinet in 2014. India expects to be a major contributor to the project and will provide hardware worth $200 million. Mauna Kea hosts multiple telescopes. However, upcoming projects have been invited local opposition on the grounds that building telescopes violates religious and cultural customs, with many of the projects having been imposed upon the region without addressing the concern of the inhabitants. Though permits were availed, Supreme Court of Hawaii invalidated them in 2015. Permissions were restored, though construction is yet to begin because of the continued local opposition. Now, this is the part that we have to understand, that when we talk about this 30-meter telescope project, it is being launched in Mauna Kea, inactive island of the volcano on the Hawaiian Islands, and this particular project is a collaboration of the countries that I've told you. Now the problem over here is that these projects are coming up, but these are against a certain cultural, we can say, sentiments of the people, of the local inhabitants, of the people of Hawaii. As a result, they have been protesting against this 30-meter telescope project. That is why such, we can say, project is still to be implemented because of the opposition that has been going on. And in this context, Science Ministry has visited the Hawaiian to take stock of the telescope project. So this could be a question that could be asked in the prelims, that what is the 30-meter telescope project, right? तो ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. That will be taking observations in the space. That is the 30-meter telescope project. And this could be asked in the examination कि इसमें कौन-कौन सी countries हैं जो इसका part है, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए USA, China, India, Canada, Japan, right? So these are the 5 countries that make a part of this 30-meter telescope project, and India was made a member of this project in 2014. Okay. Moving to the next part. So these are all the political news, right? ज़्यादातर आपको इसी के related मिलेंगी अगर हम देखेंगे. ठीक है, these are all the what we can say. ये अब सारे वो हैं, क्या कहते हैं, स्पॉटलाइट्स हैं, कुछ केस स्टडीज हैं. आप इनको डिटेल में पढ़ना चाहो पढ़ सकते हो, आपको कुछ ना कुछ इसमें से इंपॉर्टेंट मिल जाएगा, राइट? ये डिफरेंट रीजन्स के आ रखे हैं. आई डोंट थिंक एवरीवन इन द फिजिकल कॉपी विल बी हैविंग दिस पेजेस ऑफ स्पॉटलाइट. सम ऑफ यू माइट नॉट बी हैविंग, तो अगर किसी पास ई कॉपी है तो एक बार देख सकता है, राइट? नाउ US UK has launched joint strikes against the Houthi targets after Red Sea attacks. I think this is clear to everybody. I have explained this particular portion in detail a lot, that when we talk about Red Sea, there have been a lot of attacks that have been carried out by Houthis on the commercial and the merchant vessels. As a result, it is creating a lot of pressure on the trade that is happening on the Red Sea. So it is creating a lot of insurance cost as well, shipping cost बढ़ रही है, जिसकी वजह से now to protect the interest of the commercial vessels in the Red Sea, USA and UK has launched the joint strikes against Houthi targets after the Red Sea attacks. See, USA involved नहीं था इजराइल और गाजा के इशू में, वो बस कंडेम कर रहे थे. Because of these Houthi attacks that have been happening, somehow USA and UK has been involved in the war. Why? Because the war expanded beyond Israel and Gaza. Now it has gone into the region of Red Sea, and it is very interesting because Red Sea बड़ा ही एक important area है जहां पे ये सारी war अभी चल रही है because of the trade volume that happens in this region. Okay. Now again वही सारी न्यूज़ चल रही है, कोई नई न्यूज़ तो नहीं है, right? वही प्रेसिडेंट बाइडन की बातें चल रही हैं यहाँ पे. This is all that we have of. ठीक है. So that's it, guys, right? So this was the important news in today's newspaper. So those who have been reading newspapers very much lately or new to the newspapers, you would be witnessing that today's newspaper was just a cakewalk, right? बड़ा simple newspaper था जहाँ पे major discussions जो करी गई हैं, that has been around the topic of, first of all, that is related to this Supreme Court staying order on the डिसीजन ऑफ द, उसने मना कर दिया है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ऑन द एक्ट दैट हैज बीन पास्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट इन कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ चीफ इलेक्शन कमिश्नर्स. सेकंड वन इज रिलेटेड टू रिटेल इन्फ्लेशन दैट आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड. थर्ड इज द न्यू ट्रांस हार्बर लिंक प्रोजेक्ट अटल सेतु दैट हैज बीन इनॉग्रेटेड बाय द प्राइम मिनिस्टर. फोर्थ वन वाज रिलेटेड टू द साइंस डेलीगेशन विजिटिंग द Hawaii Islands, very important in order to see the stock of the situation of the project of 30-meter telescope. And then is the USA and UK have launched the attacks against the Houthi rebels in Red Sea. So these were the important news that were there in today's newspaper, right? So that's it from my side for today, right? We are almost done with our analysis. If you have still any doubt, you can ask me, and then we're gonna end the session. And before I end the session, I want to congratulate everybody, okay, for this Lodi festival, right? So yes, so this Lodi festival is there, right? कि ठीक हो जाए सब कुछ, सबके लिए बढ़िया हो जाए, and you enjoy the festival for today. And after that, we would be having the class on Monday, right? So you want to discuss something with me, you can discuss. We have 1 or 2 minutes that I can dedicate to you guys. हाँ जी. हाँ जी, if you guys want to ask me something, you can ask me. ओके गाइस, सर इन्वायरमेंट की क्लास होगी आज? ऑब्वियसली होगी बेटा, इन्वायरमेंट की क्लास है आज. इट इज़ अर्ली है, मेरे ख्याल से आज क्लास 10 बजे, राइट? सो चलिए, थैंक यू सो मच, टेक केयर, बाय बाय एंड एंजॉय योर वीकेंड.